Hey everyone, Joe here, and welcome back to another episode of Video Game Magazine Rewind. This week we're going to take a look at one of my favorite Nintendo Power issues. This is volume 21, and as you can see, the main topic for this particular issue is StarTropics, a game that I'm very fond of. Certainly played it back in the day. Loved it a lot. We're just going to start off with the cover here. As you can see, price point for these this issue back in the day was $3.50 US or $4.50 Canadian, which is what I would have paid. This would have been an issue that was mailed to my house, though this particular issue was not my childhood one. As I mentioned before, a couple of the key games they're going to focus on, one being StarTropics and the other one being Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, as well as a computer series that I'm very fond of, Ultima, and this is Quest of the Avatar. I believe that was also on PC, which is where I want to say I played it, though I do have the NES version as well. So as you can see, this is going to be the StarTropics game that we're talking about, as well as for the Ultima, I do have it on NES, though I no longer have the PC version for some reason. I don't know where it went, but a game that I'd like to get back into at some point in the future as well. And then a couple more key points that they're going to touch base on, some Game Boy games as well. The cover art is not the standard CG or sometimes claymation that they used. This is more of sort of like paper artwork cut on top of each other. So, without further ado, we open it up. Standard order. This is actually a back issue order guide that you could get previous issues in case you missed it. A standard subscription to Nintendo Power. Next page here is the Power line, where we turn and look at sort of some of the things that they'll be talking about in this particular issue, as well as a table of contents, which I used to spend hours. This was one of my favorite pages in these Nintendo Power books because I would mark on mine. Sometimes I'd even highlight particular things that really interest me or that I thought were really special in those issues. So you can see we start off with Ninja Turtles on page 8, Quantum Fighter. That's where you're a Kabuki character on page 26. The main focus of this particular issue is StarTropics on page 38. Magician on 58, Ultima Quest of the Avatar on 70. There is video updates for Now Playing, sneak peeks, Game Boy, and in particular Gremlins too, for the Game Boy, as well as Round Ball Roundup, which I don't know, NBA basketball, and then the typical remaining sections for the Nintendo Power is being Players Forum, Tips from the Pros, and Special Reports. So as always, I like to start off with a little bit of mailbox, and these are where just people would send in particular photos, stories of what they're doing, little stupid nonsense things like their cat watching them play Mario Brothers on the TV. The little dumb stories like that. As we saw from the table of contents, starting on page 8, now we delve into the Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. You can see here, it was made by Ultrasoft. They even do a rating out of 5. Graphics and sound is 3.9, play control 4.1, challenge and excitement 4.3, and theme and fun 4.0. So I'm not going to go into great detail with this because I think they do a number of pages on this. But it just shows you, the moves that your particular characters have, your 4 characters that you can choose from: Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo. And then starting off, scene 1, and it does do a walkthrough in sense of, each section here is divided screenshot by screenshot, and what particular characters you got to look out for, certain tactics you can use. The main boss for this one would be Rocksteady, which is the Rhino, and tricks and tips you can use on beating him. Scene 2, again, more of the same thing. Boss you're fighting in this one is Bebop. It even goes to show us, so far as to show you hit points for the character, 68. If you're playing one turtle, if you're playing 2 players, though, he's got hit points of 100, which is kind of interesting that they would up that up. Again, they just focus on certain characters in there. The Mouser characters being the little robotic, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, bipedal robotic enemies. The Foot Clan characters, one being Hammerfoot, Dynamite, they throw dynamite, Boomerang Foot, they throw boomerangs. Scene 3, this is where you're fighting your main guy being the werewolf character Tora, as well as fan favorite Baxter. Scene 4, this is the secret factory. Scene 5, main character in this one is a Stone Warrior. I remember playing this game a lot in the arcade. It was actually in the donut shop across from my high school is where I played it a lot. Certainly a quarter muncher. I don't remember ever getting this far into it. Maybe I did, but I don't remember. But if I was to do so, it was certainly after popping in tons of quarters for continues. But you can see for the NES version here, you even got like an extra turtle code where they give you the code where you can start off with 10 turtle lives. Shogun Warrior is the main boss in this one. Back to scene 7 again. And was that the final scene? Yeah, you do fight Shredder in this one. 176 hit points. And then after that, Nintendo sort of created their own little mini comic book that they would include in some of the NES powers, focusing on 2 characters, Howard and Nestor. And this particular issue is an homage to the Mega Man, where they sort of dress up and play Mega Man. This is a Quantum Fighter, where your character is a kabuki, dressed as a kabuki player, and your attack is actually your hair, where it does like a whip attack. I don't own this for the NES. I have seen the gameplay on it. It's not too bad. It's not my particular cup of tea, though. Got an average rating there of 3.5 out of 5. And again, they go like they did with the turtles. They go through and do a bunch of levels, showing you what to do. And really, that was the point for these Nintendo Power issues, really, to give you focus and help with certain 2 or 3 main games per issue. I really wish I'd kept more of my Nintendo Power issues. I don't know really what happened to them. I don't think that were thrown away, but, you know, after moving out of my parents' house, I don't, some stuff seemed to have gone missing. I don't know if my brother took them or not. They also do, this is their Nintendo Power Top Secret section. On this particular page, they're focusing on the actual TMNT Turtles game Fall of the Foot Clan for the Game Boy. Again, showing tips and tricks, power-up codes, bonus game selects. Another game that doesn't receive as much, I guess, credit that it really deserves for being sort of an innovative game, as well as just fun to play. This is the Immortal Dr. Mario, sort of like its own take, Mario's own take on Tetris. I'm not a fan of the Dr. Mario games, though. If I'm going to play a game in this particular style, I'm going to play Tetris. And these were actually tips. You could, you see how they say, like, from Agent 920 or from Agent 123. These were actually regular players that would send in tips, and then under the guise of their own particular agent number. I guess they kind of wanted to make you feel special. And again, that just continues on here with Mario Brothers 3. Mendel Palace, not familiar with that game. Conquest of the Crystal Palace, I have played. I don't think I liked it, though. Crystallis, definitely a game you should have in your game collection, as well as Journey to Silius. That's a good shooter, too, so that you should have that as well. See, and that's where they go, wanted special agents. So you can develop your own tips and strategies, and they ask you to send it into them with your own agent number, 3 digits. And then there's the Redmond, Washington Nintendo Power address. So they would have you do their work for them, just to make you feel special. Alright, so now to the main focus of the game, that being the Nintendo StarTropics game. Here is the main help guide for this particular issue. On this one, for the adventure game StarTropics, you're playing the character Mike, your baseball player from the mainland, and your uncle, Dr. Jones, on this particular island named Sea Island for its shape, has gone missing, and now it's up to you to help find him. Average power meter ranking out of 5. Unfortunately, seems a little lower for what I think it should be. Lowest being 3.3 for play control, which is understandable, I guess, because your character only moves in a north, south, east, or west, 1 square move per position. So, you know, you'd go up 1, up 1, up 1 kind of thing, or left or right. There's no diagonal movement or attack in this game. Challenging excitement and theme and fun both got 4.3, which I'm okay with. Graphics and sound, I think it's pretty decent for that time period. I don't know, it's not very Dragon Warrior-ish, I'd want to say, in terms of graphics. Your main weapon that you start off with is a yo-yo, and then obviously you can upgrade it down the road. When I say Dragon Warrior, but the actual gameplay when you're sort of doing your battles is very Zelda-ish, in my opinion. So again, just walkthroughs of certain parts of the game, where to go, how to beat certain mini bosses. This one being the Serpent, which is one of the first I think that's actually the first boss you fight, or first main enemy that you have to fight to get through to the next area. You also do get a submarine, which is the part that I'm at right now in this particular gameplay, where you're traversing through certain parts of the inner sea island. You have to go through little mini sort of whirlpools and warps. So that's where I'm at right now in my recent return to gameplay on it. You get a little Navcom robot, which I remember you get a dolphin that helps you in the ocean. You do get special weapons like your baseball bat. They touch on particular enemies here like octopuses or pufferfish or some kind of starfish, mudfishes. And again, there's no particular levels in this one. It's more of just traversing from area to area and solving certain puzzles. Also comes with, obviously that's the main sea island that you start off on. And then as you progress, there are other areas that you can travel to. So a key thing that I love about these Nintendo Powers is they always have these big massive maps in there. And then on the other side of the map would be a certain special poster. This one showing for the game Metal Storm. This is your main character in there, and in this case, this is a clay sculpture of what your fighter is in the game for Metal Storm. Metal Storm was 1990 and it was made by Irem, so it's you know that game's going to be quality if it's an Irem product. Alright, next, from the table of contents, you also saw that there's going to be a special feature on the Game Boy. And this one coming soon. It's going to be like a double dribble in-your-face basketball game. Gremlins 2, NBA All-Star. And again, like the previous couple games in this issue, they focus on helping you get through it in particular levels in terms of showing where you need to jump, how to get over certain areas. I never played Gremlins 2. Next up, Round Ball Roundup. I don't know if you're into basketball. Looks like it's a one-on-one court. Yeah, they've got it in your face. Double dribble 5-on-5. Okay. And then obviously actual NBA stars like Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley. Some more hints from agents, quote unquote. That being for the Batman game, Mercenary Force, which I've never tried. I played Penguin Wars, that's fun. Soccer Mania, I've never tried. And then they give their rating there for graphics, play control, challenge, and theme on these ones. Yeah, that Battleship game's pretty fun. And then one thing as well with these Nintendo Powers is they tended to have like a top 10, top 30 list or whatever it was. For this one, here's your Game Boy top 10 for this current time period of, what was it again? This issue came out in February 1991. So as of 91 in February, Ninja Turtles was one on the Game Boy. Super Mario Land was number 2. Final Fantasy Legend was 3. Followed by Tetris, Mario, Gargoyle's Quest, Batman, Quicks, Castlevania, and Double Dragon. I remember I used to take special offense when my favorite games weren't like in the top 3. We'll see more of that later near the end of this issue when they focus on the NES games. Here is Magician. It's got a very, in my opinion, it's like a Fax Anadu gameplay style graphics look to it. Ratings didn't do very well though. From play control of 2.8 to basically a 3.7 average between graphics, challenge, and themes. So, but don't sway you. If you haven't played Fax Anadu though, you should try that. That is a very well designed game and lots of fun. Though I didn't think so when I first bought it. I was actually a little pissed off at it. So for Magician here, again, you got the village area, you got the Barrens area. I don't own this game either. Maybe I should take a look at it. And there's a lot more on that. I'm surprised they actually did that many pages on it. Alright, Power to the Player. So this is where they go through and show how they measure and do their ratings for the particular games and how they come across with their certain their totals on it and their reasoning behind it. I like how they try to make it professional by using the spider web representation graph there. Trying to be professional about it. And then if you go on, are newer games better than old ones? Again, different ratings for other, these are all baseball games. Couple, if you haven't played them or tried them or even heard of them, you should definitely get, I don't know, in my opinion, Bases Loaded is always, for me, it's been the key one for baseball. Though Dusty Diamond's All-Star Softball, despite this crappy rating, is actually a really good game. And then Tecmo Baseball is good too. What else we got here? Yeah, essentially this is just to help you decide which games you should try for that month by helping you get a good rating, or by helping you with their rating system and try and make it easier for you. So here we see now they've moved on to Ultima Quest of the Avatar. If you're into really in-depth RPGs, this is definitely one for you. Looks like it tended to have an average rating of basically 3.5 across the board, which, I don't know, I guess I could agree. Again, the gameplay and graphic style is very, I'd put it more in the class of Dragon Warrior looks, or StarTropics, if you will, since that's the one. They used like a moon system here in terms of being able to choose what destinations you could warp to, certain areas on the map. Like, for example, Moonglow here, you had to have a completely dark moon to be able to get to it. And you can only get to it in certain areas. It's sort of complex and hard to explain, but through the waxing and waning of the moons, that allowed you to travel basically to certain areas on the map. And again, you had your fighter, or your character classes here, such as Mage, Barge, Fighter, Druid, Thinker. I don't know what the thinker is. Paladin was always my go-to when I played D&D. Though that probably wouldn't be the case now. I'd probably lean more towards... Mage was always my favorite character. But I liked Paladin because he could do certain good spells as well as be a fighter, like with a sword. And then finishing off with Ranger and Shepherd. And then there are certain runes that allows you to build your character up: honesty, valor, sacrifice, spirituality, humility, honor, justice, compassion. So your virtues were like your character class points in the game. And basically showing you, we couldn't really do a walkthrough on this, but it's more of helping you explain all the different, I guess, spells, books, areas in the game, how to get there. I know, or I remember Ultima had this, the 3 circles. That you had to sort of choose which area you wanted your character to go into. Learning certain spells, you needed certain ingredients. But first you also had to find recipes for them to create the spells. Obviously, no good RPG isn't an RPG unless there's dungeon levels in there. So now we're into the Counselor's Corner, and this is the area where, in particular issues, they would have certain counselors make an appearance, and then basically it's just normal people sending in questions for them to answer, like, for example, Maniac Mansion. How do I open the safe? Well, they tell you how to do it. Oddly enough, there's 3 questions on Maniac 1 and Dragon Warrior 2, which is a little strange. Legend of Zelda, 4 on that one. I guess that was probably, the more popular the game, the more questions you would get for it. Next, they would have a contest, which is per normal. If you wanted to go and do a special tour at this particular game center. This is, what is this here? Your player's poll. Contest to win, in this case, Nintendo Power jerseys. This is when these Battletech games were popular as well. So these are recent releases that didn't, I guess, have space in their latest issues, but they just wanted to bring attention to your eyes. Like, never heard of Galaxy 5000, never tried Shadow of the Ninja, and everyone's done Ski or Die. Very similar to, well, it's basically Skate or Die, but in wintertime. And the latest NES releases, their guide to it in terms of who created it, player info or gameplay info, as well as their rating system for it and the actual game type. If you're looking for like a winter sports game or hero game or magic adventure game. Here's that other top 30 list I was talking about when we were looking at the Game Boy one. I used to take super personal offense when games that I liked weren't in the top 5 or 10. At this point, I was always big into Mario 3, and that was at number 1 for, well, you can see so far, 5 months. Followed by Final Fantasy, NES Play Action Football. Got Mega Man 2, Castlevania 3, Crystalis, Dr. Mario, Ninja Turtles, Tetris, and Zelda. So for a while, it would always be like the staples that would populate the top 10. And then some other ones in there. New ones to the top 30 would be Maniac Mansion, Ghostbusters 2, Solstice, Pinbot. And then some games that are making big moves up would be WrestleMania. Castlevania 3 is making a big push. Games that had certain popularity at a certain point in time, though it might not last for too long. You can see Zelda here has been on the list for 14 months. So definitely a top contender. It all depends on when the game came out. I don't remember exactly when Mario 3 came out, but since May 1990. Okay. And then the top 30 for players, the pros, and then the stores would have their list for the top sellers as well. Oh, look, we're famous sports players, but we're just like you. We like Nintendo too. Right. And here is your NES Achievers. So this is where, people that had the highest scores, or they actually games that didn't have scores, but you're able to finish it. You could send in a photograph of you completing the game or showing the highest point score. So some certain games here, like Final Fantasy, these people would finish it. Whereas like in Silent Service, these two people got these two high scores. And these are games to look for in the future. Adventure Island 2, never really cared for that one. Double Dragon 3. And Star Wars, around the corner. But, of course, they don't show you any gameplay for it. So let's grab your attention by showing you scenes from the movie that you love so much. Oh, they're in the process of still designing it, so maybe that's why they don't have any photos. Miyamoto, super young Miyamoto there. Here he's showing off the SimCity version of on the Super Famicom. Some other games around the corner. Love that Wolverine poster. The game was no good though, unfortunately. Sorry, not Wolverine poster. That's the actual comic cover. And some other ones. Just stuff coming around the corner. Nibunaga's Ambition 2, which I liked. Swordmaster, never cared for. And new game controllers. Stuff that's coming soon. Stuff that's coming even later. But to keep an eye out for. And that's it. Back issues that you can order, focusing on certain ones like Mega Man or Batman or Mario Brothers 3 in Volume 11. And games that are going to be reviewed next month. And as you can see, they're going to continue on with StarTropics, chapters 3 through 6. And because we saw that Metal Storm poster, they're going to have Metal Storm in here as well. And this is obviously someone else's Nintendo Power issue, but it is now mine, and thank you for letting me have it in my collection. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you liked this little gaming magazine review walkthrough. Leave me a comment, tell me what you thought about some of the things we saw in there, and I will see you guys again very soon. Take care, and thanks for tuning in.